better. Yesterday we talked about this. Okay. Yesterday we are talking about these cows. Let me go back to where I was so that you see clearly. I have some questions students are asking me about that. How do I download the distinction material? I think I should show you that before I go to any other question, because I think they find challenges in downloading this distinction material book, so that you don't get challenges regarding to that. All right. The first thing you need to do is just go to www.ThunderEDUC or Get Answered. Let me show you. Get Answered, www.getanswered. So when you go to www.getanswered, yes, this, you will be able to find this information there. You can go to ThunderEDUC or to www.getanswered.co.za or www.thundereduc.com, any of that. Then go to distinction material. Yes, you go to distinction material. When you click the distinction material, it will direct you where you can get the distinction material. The book will cost you 20 Rand. Then you click here, join. When you say join, yes, then they'll ask you banking details, and then you'll be able to download that distinction material. It has all the books for grade 10 and grade 12. This is basically for life science and the other material. And if you want the private classes, then you have to click on private classes. But if you click on private classes, you will get everything up. You get the books, and you also be able to access all the private classes. Our private classes, they will be there on Saturdays and Fridays. Yes, Fridays and Saturdays, unless otherwise, maybe towards the exam period, so that we can prepare you for the work for you to pass. Yes, you'll be able to get different stars if you have your thing, how many times you have spent on that website. All right, let's go back to our business today. Let's go back to our business today so that we don't waste time. Yes. Perfect. All right. Yesterday, I was trying to show you that how do we set these equations, and we say that look at this scale. I showed you this question when you are trying to look at this book, the distinction material book. Let me open it for you so that, and then yeah, let me open for you the distinction material book so that you understand exactly, so that we explain this better. Yes, so that we can explain it better. All right. Here is the book, and the question we talked about yesterday was about this, eh? And then I couldn't show you because of the internet disorganized us. All right, here is the skull. This is the skull. If you look at this skull and this skull, this is for a gorilla and this is for a human. If you look at them, when they bring a question like this, you have to explain it. Check this. It is on the sides. So if it is on the sides, then it means that what you are supposed to explain, is supposed to be in regard to this, what you see. If you look at this teeth, yes, if you look at this teeth, look at also this. So it is in terms of sides. It is in terms of what? Sides. So when you're explaining, you don't explain what you don't see. So you explain what you see here. I hope you understand or you see what I'm trying to. If you have any challenge, let me know. Yes, if you have any challenge on what I'm trying to describe, let me know. Yes, so I was saying that yes. So look at this skull. Look at this teeth. Yes. Look at this. So when they bring a skull like this, don't explain what you see here. No. You explain what you see here. So the skull was saying that give two observable features when this skull is like this and this skull is like this. So it means that here, don't talk about foramen magnum, because if this skull is like this, you won't be able to see what is down. So you explain what you see. Yes. You can't see the shape if the skull is like this. You can't see the shape of the jaw. Yes, you can't see it when the skull is like this. So it means that when you are describing this, you're supposed to describe exactly what you see, not what you imagine. So in this case, you can talk about the canine. Here is more developed. Here the canine is less developed. You can see it. Yes. Then you can look at it, how it is sloping face. Here the face is flat. Yes. Can you see the spaces? The spaces between the teeth. Yes. In this case, yes, you can see it if it is a real skull. Yes, you can see it. But if you check on the question, it's not that visible. So we can ignore that. Look at the brow ridges. Here, when the skull is like this, the brow ridge is visible. You can see the brow ridge very clearly. Therefore, you can talk about here the brow ridge is more pronounced. Yes. What about here? Here the brow ridge is not that pronounced. Then if you look at this, you can talk about the jaws protruding out. Yes. The brow this one is prognanthus. It has more protruding jaws. I explained it yesterday. It's more protruding jaws. While here it is not prognanthus. The jaws are not protruding out. It's just flat. Yes, the jaws are not protruding out. So it is not that prognanthus. It is not prognanthus. So you say, don't say more prognanthus, less prognanthus. We don't say like that. We say that protruding jaws, less protruding jaws. Then another thing you can talk about here is we talked about the shape of the what? of the skull, that it is sloping what? Is sloping face. The other one is not. Please, if the skull is like this, don't talk about foramen magnum, because where is the foramen magnum when it's like that? It is not there. So please don't talk about it. Yes. Unless now, when they put the skull like this, yes, now they ask you to give the visible differences between this and this. You will find out that someone is saying that sloping face. How will you see the sloping face when the skull is pointing upside down? Yes. So here we don't talk about the sloping face. Here you talk about the skull. What about the skull? Here you talk about the position of foramen magnum. Position of foramen magnum, it is in the backward position. This one is in forward position. Yes, canines, you can talk about them. Here, even here, they are less pronounced. Here is more pronounced or more developed, less developed. Here you can talk about the spaces, the diastema. Yes, here the spaces are big, while here we don't have spaces, or they are minimal spaces when they are like that. Sometimes we bring this skull, we bring this, this, and this, and then we ask you which one goes to this, which one goes to this. So you need to know that the one which has a rectangular, check how it is, rectangular. The pallets are rectangular. Yes, so it means that it goes to this. And then the one which is more of semi-circular, this, it means that that's where you put also that. Anyway, let's go to the questions direct, and then we can try to explain. All right. Okay, let's go to the questions, and then we try to discuss about the questions we talked about. And if you look at this, is a example of a transitional. What is a transitional species? We say that a transitional species is a species which has both the characteristics of the descent or the previous ancestor and the individual which is following it. It means that it must have at least the characteristics. If you look at this species, you'll find out that this species has the characteristics of this ancestor and the characteristics of the next generation. So we call that one a transition species. Then when we go to this, please, when you talk about this, make sure that at least you know the scientific name of that species, the common name of that species, and then who discovered that species, where was it discovered. Yeah, the rest, yes, you can add, but you have to know this. For example, you need to know that Australopithecus sediba, it is what? It is Carabo. When you talk about the Australopithecus africanus species, you need to know what are those Australopithecus africanus species. So the oldest in this regard is called Adipithecus remedus. Its common name is Ad. If they ask you this question and they are not asking you the scientific name, then it's fine. You can say Ad. Who discovered is Tim White. Let me give you one example or a trick how to remember this. The first species we talk about, that is Adipithecus remedus. The person who discovered the first species and the person who discovered the last species is the same. The last species is Homo sapiens, and the first species is Adipithecus remedus, is also Tim White. So you need to know that. Now, where was Adipithecus remedus discovered? You remember that, the only country in Africa, or one of the countries in Africa which was not colonized. Which country is that? Ethiopia. So if you forget about that, at least you must remember that. Then we have the Australopithecus afarensis. This is Lucy. When you talk about Lucy, I think you know this lady called Lucy. I think it is a singer. Pet was what? Yeah, in America. Yeah, that's the name which was derived from. I think even you have ever watched a movie called Lucy. So Australopithecus afarensis is Lucy Johansson in Ethiopia still discovered that. Then we have the next. Point. They're asking you that Australopithecus africana species. When you talk about Australopithecus africana species, here you are looking at the three species. You cannot go to the paper without knowing these three species. Yes, that is Mrs. Place, Littlefoot, and Mrs. Place, Littlefoot. Who else? And then Taum child. When you talk about Taum child, it was discovered in Taum. People, you know where is Taum is. Where do we find Taum? Taum is there in Northwest. So you cannot tell me that if you are coming from Northwest, you will fail that question of Australopithecus africana species. You have to be knowing it. You have to be knowing that Australopithecus africana species, that is Taum. It was obtained from Taum, therefore is Taum child. Because it was a child, therefore we regard to as Taum child. Then we have another one is a little foot, because yeah, its foot was too small. That's why it's called little foot. And then Mrs. Place. So all these were obtained in South Africa. So you need to know that this was obtained from South Africa. Yeah. So the next one is Australopithecus seriba. Seriba is the missing link. I think I should show you what we call Australopithecus seriba. Let me show you here. Seriba is basically a missing link between Australopithecus africanus and the Homo habilis. It links from the Australopithecus species to Homo habilis. Let me show you how Seriba looks like. Show you how Seriba looks like. So this is how Seriba looks like. Yes. So this is how Seriba looks like. You see? So if you look at it, these white things you see, these are the parts which they didn't discover. So they discover this and then they put it together so that they say that maybe this individual looked like this. So anything you see in white, it shows that they didn't discover that part. So maybe you can go and then do the research and then you can find the missing part. Then maybe you can be correct about it. Anyway, if you look at this Seriba, it doesn't look like that much of these gorillas, these chimpanzees. Look, it has some bit of ape-like. If you look at this broridge and this, it's almost the same. Yes, but if you look at the face, it's not that sloping. Yeah, check. It's not that sloping compared to this. It looks like that of human. And if you look at the canine, yes, if you look at the canine is not that as big as this chimpanzee. Yes, it's not as big as that chimpanzee. No, and it's not as big as this. And still is not as that small as this. It means that it has some characteristics of human-like, and some characteristics of these other Australopithecus. Yes, species. So that's why we say that because it is in between there, so we call it a missing link or a transitional species. If also you look at the shape, the pellet, it's not that as rectangular as this. Yes, check. It is not that as rectangular as this, but still, you see, it's not as rectangular as these ones, but still, it is not as semicircular as this. So if you compare the two, you will see that it is not as more of this human, and it's not as more of these other apes. You understand? So it means that it has both characteristics of, for example, if it is the link between this, meaning that it has some characteristics of this and some characteristics of this. Therefore, is a link between this and this. So that's why it's called a transitional species or a transitional fossil, meaning that it does not have all the characteristics of the previous and does not have all the characteristics of the next generation, but it has half of the previous species and half of the next generation. Hence, we call it a transitional fossil. We call it a missing link because we were trying to discover something was missing there. It was missing there until they discovered it. Hence, they called it a missing link. So the missing link was discovered. So when we go back here, we see clearly that that is the Australopithecus sediba. Yes. So that's why you're saying that Australopithecus sediba is a transitional species of fossil. Yes. So now the last of the thing, you need to know, you cannot go to the paper without knowing Homo habilis. When they bring a paper and then they ask you that Homo habilis, what is Homo habilis? Is handyman, the first person to use tools. I have examples of tools these organisms were using by then. Let me show you so that I explain it. Yeah. Here are the tools. Here are the tools. If you look at these tools, this was the first tool to use, which we call the Odoan tools. This is the first tool they used, which we call the Odoan tools. So that Odoan tools was, as their brain kept on increasing, they modified this to this. If you look at this, you see that this one, the knowledge they used is not that as much as the knowledge they used here. You see that this one, it is becoming more of being specialized. Here, yes, they can cut. When you are cutting is easy. Yes, maybe they are peeling or they are trying to remove the skin of the animal. Yes, they were using this. So it was a little bit easier for them. But when it comes to this, yes, this one, you see that it can be used maybe to kill something. Yes, kill something, and then can also be used, even if you see the grip here is much more, meaning that here is a little bit slippery. Yes, when you are holding it, it's not that strong, but when it comes to here, the grip is there. It can kill the animal in this short distance. And then it can also be used in this case, maybe when he's hammering something. Yes, so you see it that this is more advanced compared to this. And then now, from this to spears, check. This, it's more of specialized, is a little bit smaller, but it has maybe an agenda for this. For example, can be used for hunting. It cannot only be used for hunting, these edges can also be used to remove the skin. Yes, so basically there is more of the protection in this regard. And you see that here in this side, there is much of connecting it maybe to a wood, so that the spear can be used as a spear to kill animals and also to bring about protection. Yeah, people who have been watching Shaka Zulu, I think you know exactly what was happening in there. They were using these spears. Now, if you're saying that those organisms were more advanced, which kind of tools are they using now? Check now. Which kind of tools are they using? They're using now bombs. Just one bomb and then it kills the whole village. Maybe the nuclear bomb. What? So it means that there is these guns and stuff. Those are also tools. Maybe after a certain time, maybe 1 million years to come, they will be seeing these bombs we are using now. Say that they are too small. They cannot be compared to the other one. For now, you see these tools as simple, but during that time, these tools were very, 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 they were very, 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 very important, and the people who were having them, they were being seen to be more advanced compared to other organisms. That's why you see that these ones are simple, they are a little bit of moderate in terms of development, and then this one is more advanced compared to now. Now this one we are being changed to now to guns, to bombs, now to midges with these ones for now when the war is there. They can't use these spears. Why? Because now the knowledge, the advancements in the brain is there, is happening. You understand? A question can come and ask you that, do you think that evolution is complete? Do we still have evolution? Yes, evolution is still happening up to now. So when we come back here to our paper here, to our question or our booklet, the distinction material, you will see that this is what you're talking about, that these organisms, yes, where we, yes, you're saying that we talked about these transitional fossils. Yes, we're saying that these handmans were using tools, the Odoan tools. This one, they were obtained in Old George, Tanzania. So this, the first guy to use the tools. I showed you the Odoan tools. Then Homo erectus is erectus. Erectus, when you are erecting, meaning that you are upright. Homo erectus, the upright walking man. That's the meaning of Homo erectus. Erect comes from the word upright. Something must be upright. What is upright? The body. Yes. So these ones, they were discovered in Indonesia. But there is something which you need to understand here. If it was discovered in Indonesia, what does it mean? It means that now with this, they were able to move very fast because they were walking upright. So they could walk faster. If they walk faster, it means that they could cover a distance, a short distance, a big distance within a short period of time. Therefore, it means that they are also linked to out of Africa hypothesis. What about the Homo sapien? Homo sapien is what you call the wise man. Who discovered also is Tim White. Du Bois is the one who discovered Homo erectus, and where Homo sapiens was discovered. Now a question comes in. The person who is talking, the person who discovered is a Homo sapien. But he's saying that he discovered Homo sapien. What did he discover? He discovered the oldest skull of Homo sapiens. You understand? The oldest skull were discovered in these areas, which shows that, yeah, maybe we origin, because I see here most of the places are Africa. Modern humans originated from Africa and migrated to the rest of the world. So this is another evidence which shows that these fossils were discovered in Africa, and it brings about the out of Africa hypothesis. Mitochondrial DNA, guys, please take note of this. Some people, when they ask you the evidence which support the out of Africa hypothesis, someone says mitochondrial DNA. You'll get it wrong. That answer is wrong. Mitochondrial DNA is not an evidence for out of Africa hypothesis. No. the evidence is genetic evidence. The same way, when they ask you and then you say, you don't say Australopithecus africanus, remedius. No. You say fossil evidence. But example of fossil evidence, we have these fossils. So when they ask you the evidences to support the out of Africa hypothesis, don't say mitochondrial DNA. No. Mitochondrial DNA is an example of the genetic evidence. Yeah, I think let me use a pen so that you can understand what I'm saying better. So, so when you talk about it, so it means that you're supposed to look. When you talk about this mitochondrial DNA, mitochondrial DNA is an example of genetic evidence. So if they ask you examples of genetic evidence, then here you can talk about the mitochondrial DNA. So mitochondrial DNA is inherited from only the maternal line. You know that when you have the sperm and the ovum, yes, you have the sperm and the ovum, yes, it's only the nucleus of the sperm which will fuse with the nucleus of the ovum. And then it means that the mitochondria of this sperm will not enter the ovum. That's why you're saying that it's only in maternal line, meaning that in the mother's side. Mutations are very rare to find in this mitochondrial DNA, but if they show up, you try to trace them, you'll find out that the oldest female was obtained or was discovered in Africa, which shows that modern humans were discovered from Africa or originated from Africa and migrated to the rest of the world. Anyway, then the last one is the cultural evidence. These are the tools I've been trying to show you using. These are the older one tools, the oldest. And then you go to this, and then you go to this, the more specialized tool. And then this is linked to the brain. It's not just like that. It's linked to the brain. This is what I showed you here. Yes, I showed you here, and I say that these tools are the one which are, yes, I showed you here, and I say that if you have this tool, yes, is more primitive, then this is moderately, and then this is more advanced. This shows that there is brain, because to develop this tool from this to this to this, there is brain thinking, there is thought which is added there. So it means that if thought is added there, it means that there is increase in the brain, in the ability of you to understand things the way they are supposed to be understood. Hence, you will see that, you will find out that this is more advanced compared to this, and you require brain for you to have this. And this is more advanced to this, so the organisms will require more brain for it to. And then if you look at the organisms which used these tools, you'll find out that the Homo habilis, they used the oldest tool. Then you go to the Homo erectus, and then you find here the more advanced one were being used by the Homo sapiens. Anyway, but for now, we are no longer using these tools frequently. What do we use? I explained to you that now what we are using is we are using what we call guns, bombs. Yeah, those things which you think, which you see what is happening in these wars. So when they ask you the out of Africa hypothesis, how do you describe the evidences here? Please guys know that when you talk about the out of Africa hypothesis, please explain fossil evidence. Don't give me an example of a fossil evidence and you think that your answer is correct. Your answer is not correct as long as that is not, an evidence. As long as it is an example of a fossil, then we will not give you a tick until you give us that this is an evidence. So you have to look at fossil evidence, mitochondrial, the genetic evidence, and then you have to talk about the cultural evidence. If they ask you the examples, is now when you talk about the mitochondrial DNA, the tools. Y chromosomes is no longer being used, so please don't include it there. So when we ask you another mistake students do, and this is very, 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 very common. Students do this mistake. Which mistake? They say that fossils of Adipithecus were only found in Africa. Fossils of Australopithecus, here they don't say Australopithecus africana species, they're just saying Australopithecus, Karabo, Littlefoot, Taomchild, Mrs. Place, all these fossils were discovered in what? In Africa. Look, and Homo habilis were only found in Africa. But when it goes to Homo erectus was not only discovered in Africa, no, and Homo sapiens was not only discovered in Africa. Therefore, you have to add the word the oldest. If you add here the word the oldest, your answer is going to be wrong. We will ask you, what about the newest? Where did you discover them from? You don't have the answer. So, it means that here you say only found in Africa. This word must be there. That's why when I was writing this book, this word I put it in bold and in capital letters so that you see exactly what you're supposed to write. So here you say only found in Africa, only found in Africa. But when it comes to the Homo erectus and Homo sapien, you have to add the word the oldest. The oldest fossil of Homo erectus and the oldest fossil of Homo sapien was discovered in Africa. Then we go to cultural evidence. Here we say that using stone tools, this is linked to the cutting and the sewing, all these things. This development of this tool became more sophisticated as these hominins evolved, and this required planning. You have to plan, and you can't plan without brain. You have to be with the brain. Therefore, these odd one tools, the first one, as I showed you that the Homo habilis, they use these odd one tools, but the Homo erectus, they use the more advanced tools, the way I showed you. And then the Homo sapiens, they use it's like a blade, these blades, yes, blades and knives, yes. The Neanderthals, they're also linked to humans because they just disappeared some 10,000 years back, 12,000 years there. So it's just recent. Someone can say that 10,000 years, 12,000 years, that's a lot. But when you talk about evolution, that's a small number. Other one tools, it's not that more advanced. So it became more sharpened, and then it became to the blades and knives which were being used by the humans. So before I go there, let's see if we can have a simple question here. A simple question. There is the skull. Describe one visible difference between the jaw of chimpanzee and the Homo sapien. The jaw of chimpanzee and Homo sapien. Let's go back to our chimpanzee here, and then we see. Let's see if we can explain it. Chimpanzee, and then we explain it. We see if we can get it. All right. Chimpanzee is here. And then human is here, and then Australopithecus afarensis, we don't have Australopithecus afarensis, but we can use the Australopithecus sediba. So this is chimpanzee. Okay, this is chimpanzee. This is chimpanzee. This is human, and then this is it. So look at it. What are you going to look at? What are you going to talk about here? Here, what you are going to talk about is position of foramen magnum. Look at this, and look at this, and look at this. That one is clear. They can get a mark. Look at the canines. Yes. The canine. Yes. Look at the shape of the palate. Rectangular is not that rectangular. It's more directly rectangular. And then this is semicircular. It's a C shape. So this is backward. It's backward. This is a little bit of forward. It's not that forward compared to this, but now this one is more to the forward position. And then you can't talk about the sloping face because this is upside down. Yes, it's upside down. Yes. So now if we go back to the question which they have given us, what have they given us is they didn't give us these skulls, the skulls. They gave us the jaws. So now let's go back to the jaws, and if they bring that skull, that's how you're supposed to explain it. And then now when you bring the jaws, here is the jaw, here is the jaw, and then here is the jaw of human. Here is the jaw of human. Yes. So they brought these jaws, and then they ask you, did they say chimpanzee? Did they say chimpanzee? Yeah. They didn't ask, yes, they said chimpanzee, not gorilla. Yes. So here are the three jaws which you are supposed to look at. So now in this case, what are you going to explain? In this case, you cannot talk about the position of foramen magnum because the position of foramen magnum was not given. Therefore, you have to talk about the shape of the palate, shape of the palate, shape of the palate. You understand? And then you talk about the canines is still fine. The canines is still fine. Then the canines, check the canines is also fine. More developed canines, less more directly developed, check, compared to this, because in the transitional fossil it means that yeah, it has the two. And then what about these ones? The canines are less developed, check. It's not that developed. You can open your mouth and then you see, yes, how those canines are developed. Sorry. So if you look at this diagram, yes, you will see that this canine is not as developed. This canine is not as, if you look at this and this and this, which one is human? Automatically this is human because of the shape. And then here also the shape, check the shape, and then you check the shape here. You see that the shape here is more rectangular, and then here is not that rectangular. And then now you can also talk about the space between the teeth, the space between the teeth. So if you look at it here, sorry. Yeah, if you look at it here, the spaces, the diastema here, the spaces are big. The spaces are big. Here the spaces are small, and then here there are no spaces almost. So there are no spaces completely. And then you talk about the shape, the size of canine, the spaces between the teeth. Yeah, basically that's what you can talk about it. Yes. Do we talk about the the chin being developed. How do we see that the chin is developed? Let me show you. Let me show you. How do we see that the chin is developed? The chin is not developed. Check. This one doesn't have a chin. Check. This chin is this protruding part, is what you call the chin. So when you talk about the chin, the skull must be in this shape. You must be able to see that, yeah, you can see the what? The chin. But now when the thing is like this, you cannot talk about the chin because you don't see it. It is not in this angle which you can see. So guys, when they ask you to talk about something which is visible, you must look at something which you see that, yeah, it is visible, you can see it. Don't just give the answers. That's why some people go to the paper, they think that they have killed the paper, can't the paper has killed them. They end up saying that, no, I'm going to apply for a remark, and then when the remark comes back, you end up finding that the marks you have is now more less than the marks they had given you before. So please only talk about remarking or when you are sure about, yes, or maybe when you are short of one mark. Not having 30 and then you want a 50 and then you say, no, I'm going back for a remark. Sometimes you can feel that you have written the paper, but because of these small slight mistakes you are doing when you're identifying these scars or in other areas, those are the reasons why you end up failing these subtopics. Yes. All right, let's go to the next question. They are saying that describe one visible difference between the jaw of the chimpanzee and the Homo sapiens and show the trend in evolution. Okay, you look at this and then you look at this. There are so many things we have talked about based on what you have seen there. So you can choose one. The teeth, yes, you can talk about it. The spaces, you can talk about it. The shape of the thing, rectangular, you can talk about it. Yes. Based on the difference in the dentition, what conclusion can be made about the change in the diary of the Australopithecus afarensis to Homo sapien? If you look at the shape, if you look at the dentition, yes, if you look at the dentition, let's go back and we see the dentition clearly. If we can see the dentition clearly, yes, we will see that let's look at this dentition. Yeah, look, from this to this to this. Yeah, what do you notice about this? Yes, here the teeth is more. What is the canine? Because this is more big. The canine here is what? Is big. The canine here is what? Is big. So it means that the canine there is big. You can see them now. Yes, the canine here are big. Here the canines are big, but not as big as this. Why these ones? What are the canines used? The canines are used to break down the food which is still raw or to tear the meat. So remember, the humans, they have this. This is now acting as their canine. You understand? They're acting as their canine. That's why they can use it to kill, tear the meat, prepare the meat, and then eat it when it is nice. Here, this one, because they don't have these tools, yes, what do they use? They use their mouth. They use their teeth. So the dentition will show the diary, the kind of diary that this one is feeding on raw food, which is tough, which requires it to be teared off so that it can, like a lion, yes, it can eat it. But now if we give you a goat or a sheep for you to eat without a knife and what, you will just leave the sheep there. Why? Because you don't have the canines, that sharp canines. So this shows that they were moving away from this raw food to a cooked food. This we are feeding on raw food, raw tough food, while this ones we are feeding on cooked food. That's why you see it here, that here the canine, the type of canine it is having here, it is more advanced compared to the type of canine which is here. I think I'm clear. So you don't need to cram too much. Human evolution is not a big deal. It's not a big deal. There are few things you need to look at, and then you pass the paper. Yes. So here it means that these ones you are feeding on raw food, and then tough, while these ones they are feeding on cooked food. That's why even the teeth are being a little bit smaller compared to the other ones. Then Australopithecus may be described as a transitional species between chimpanzee and the Homo sapiens. That's what I explained. Define a transitional species. Transitional species, we say that that species, it must have the characteristics of the ancestor or the previous ancestor, not ancestor, the previous ancestor at least, and then the characteristics of the next generation or the next species which is following it. Yes, at least it must have both characteristics. Those characteristics must be there. Yes, use one visible feature of the jaw to explain why afarensis may be described as a transitional species. So why do we explain this? Look at this one characteristic. Yes, you can talk about the shape of this. It's not as round. It's not as round. Check. It's not as round as this one of human, but it's not as rectangular as this. Sorry, it's not as rectangular as this. You see, yeah, this one is more rectangular, while this one is not that rectangular. So it means that it has some bit of the rectangularness of this and some bit of roundness of this. Therefore, is still moving from this direction to that direction. Look at the size of the canines. Yes, the size of canines here, they are a little bit big, and then this one's a little bit small. Therefore, is not as less developed as this, and is not as developed as that. Not only that, look at let me rub off here. Look at the spaces between the teeth. This one, the space is not as big as this. Yes, because now this one is big, and then is not as that small as that. So all that is trying to show you that, yeah, it is a transitional species. Yeah. Yes. So lastly, that was the question concerning about this. Now this one is talking about the brain. Name two genera. When they talk about genera of an individual, please always talk about the genera. Where is the genera? The genus. The genus is the first name. Is the first name, the first name, the first name, the first name. So it means that you have to count the first name. And then the species, then you talk about the second name. Name two fossils of Australopithecus africanus. You cannot go to the paper without knowing at least these Australopithecus africanus species. We talked about them, the Taumcha, the Littlefoot, and the Mrs. Place. So yes, you have to know that. Guys, if you have a question, let me know. Let me know. If you have any question you want me to talk about or you want me to address, then I'll address it without wasting time. Yeah, it's not a recorded video, it's a live video. So if you have any challenge, let me know. And then yeah, those people who are on the private classes, yes, those ones, yes, you have your classes via Zoom. You have your classes via Zoom. So it means that you always find the link when you are under private class. You always find the link there. Yes, and then you can ask a question, and then you can answer them immediately. Sometimes there are some classes which you don't receive here. but those people who are under the private classes, yes, you receive um those those classes. Always, once you do the payment, you always see the links are there. If you don't find the links, please let me know so that I can help you in that regard, so that you don't miss out and you don't just pay for nothing. All right. Which hominid had the cranial capacity closest to that of Homo sapien? When you look at this capacity. Yes. Where is the human? Human is this, and they're saying closest. Automatically, then it's gonna be the Neanderthals, the Homo neanderthalensis, or what you call the Neanderthals. Yes, that's what we explained here in the book, and we said that these ones are just next to the humans, the Neanderthals, the Homo neanderthalensis. They're just close to the humans, so it means that at least they're able to link to the humans. I will not teach the phylogenetic tree today. I will talk about it sometimes this week. And then if you don't find the class, we have already classes there which are to be which are already recorded about this phylogenetic tree. Unfortunately, it will only be for those people who are under private classes. Yes. Lastly is let's see if we have. They are saying that the cranial capacity give the smallest cranial capacity of Homo species. You see, now sometimes people get lost when they find such question. They're saying Homo species. They're not smallest. No, they're saying Homo species. So you come here and look for the homos. This is the Homo habilis. So it means that they are looking for that. They're not talking about the smallest cranial capacity. They're saying that the smallest in Homo species. So if you look at the Homo species, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, and Homo sapiens, then they're saying that when did the Australopithecus africanus became extinct? You come here and look for it. Extinction, Australopithecus africanus. Here, that's the period when they got extinct. Period of existence, meaning that you have to say 2 million years ago. Yes, 2 million years ago. So they existed 3 to 2 million years ago. It means that they got extinct 2 million years ago. They are saying that when did the Australopithecus africanus become okay? Fossils are used as evidence of hominid evolution. Name 2 other evidences. So when the question comes like that, guys, I told you that don't say mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA. You get it wrong, because mitochondrial DNA is not an evidence. No, is an example of genetic evidence. So the example, the answer is genetic evidence. So that's what you are supposed to talk about. If you say mitochondrial DNA, we're gonna cross it. Please don't say mitochondrial DNA. Always use the genetic evidence, as I said it here. That genetic evidence, the example of a genetic evidence is the mitochondrial DNA. Yes. Then lastly, you're saying that yes, another one is you can talk about, and then you can talk about cultural. Some people are going to say use of tools is wrong. Use of tools is not an evidence. Use of tools is an example of a cultural evidence. When you come here, you're saying cultural evidence, use of stone tools. So when they ask you evidence, please don't say tools unless they say cultural evidence. So when you're explaining cultural evidence, then you bring in the use of tools. So guys, you have to know that. Someone saying that if the diagram shows only the jaws, just focus on the jaws. Yes, young series, yes, if the diagram is showing only the jaws, only focus on jaws. If the diagram is showing, listen, even this jaw, it depends on the side they are showing you. Look, let me show you. If this is the jaw, if this is the jaw, yes, if that is the jaw, and then now, if, yes, this is the jaw, and if, what if the jaw is like this, né? What are they looking at here, né? If it comes like that, here you can talk about the chin. You understand? So look at, if it's like this, yes, only focus there. You will find out that, give the difference here, then you find someone talking about foramen magnum. We're going to ask you, where is foramen magnum here? Because you know that we like to ask about foramen magnum. How? Where is foramen magnum here? It's not there. So look at what is being given. Yes. I think I'm clear there. Then, young Seri, I think I'm clear there. Yes. So, lastly, I'm going to wind up with a small description of these jaws. How are they being asked? This question, I think we answered this question, part of it. Yes. Name 4 characteristics of upper jaw. Explain what increase in the volume capacity. We talked about this. Okay. They're saying that what is meant by bipedalism? Yes, we answered it here in our book, that walking on 2 hind limbs. We said that if you are using the hind limb, if you are using the limbs, look, it must have this word hind. I said, yes, it must have this word hind, because now when you just say walking on 2 limbs, we don't mark your right. Walking on 2 legs, yes, sharp, but walking, when you use the word limbs, you must add the word hind limbs. Walking on 2 hind limbs. Yes, and then the next question, they're saying that explain how each of the following skeletal structures contribute to bipedalism. Foramen magnum, the position of foramen magnum. When the position of foramen magnum is in forward position, it means that it can connect upright. Let me show you here by my skeleton. Let me show you here by my what? By my skeleton. Maybe you will understand what I'm trying to say. Yes, let me show you here by my skeleton. Hope you will see it clearly. Here is the skeleton. Bring it. I gave you an example of yes, here is the skeleton. If this foramen magnum, check how it is connected. Can you see? Yeah. If this foramen magnum is, you see how it is. If it was here, do you think this person would have, if this foramen magnum was here, do you think that this person would have walked upright? No. This thing would have been checked. You see how foramen magnum for this chimpanzee, for this gorilla is. So if this is the human, if it's in the middle, you see the foramen magnum for human is direct. You see? Do you see how it is? This is foramen magnum. So it is connected, so that now the skull can connect upright. You see? But if I bring this one for, you see, it is at the back. You see? Foramen magnum, let me show you upside. You see how it is? You see where foramen magnum is? So it helps when it can connect vertically up. Check. It can connect vertically to this skull, so that now the person can walk on 2 limbs. If this foramen magnum is here, then it means that it's gonna be, you see now this spine is gonna be this side. Automatically it's gonna be walking on 2 limbs, on 4 limbs. Yeah, that's the meaning. Foramen magnum. So the position of foramen magnum, that's how you're supposed to look at it. And then now you go to number 2 is, the question is saying that pelvic girdle. I don't have a pelvic girdle here, but let me just show you here the pelvic girdle of this skeleton of mine. The skeleton of mine. Look at this pelvic girdle. Sometimes when we tell students, they don't understand it. This is the pelvic girdle. Yes, look, it's short. Short. Check how short it is. Short, and wide. Why does it? Why? So that it can support all this weight. You see, it can support all this weight. You understand? So the more it's bigger, the more it supports. The other one is too small. It can't support. It can't support the upper weight. It's too small. So this pelvis, this pelvis, yeah, it's wide. It's wide. This is what you call wide, and then it's short. Why? So that this upper weight can be what? Can be supported. When you go back to is this foramen magnum is, foramen magnum, we say that it is in forward position to allow this spine to connect vertically. Look, the foramen magnum is in forward position to allow forward position. That's how you're supposed to explain it. That's how you're supposed to explain it. It is in the forward position to allow this spine to connect vertically. Yes. Then when you come back to pelvic girdle, short and wider to support the upper weight. Short and wider to support the upper weight. You see, short and wider to support, as I explained it. And then you have the spine. The shape of the spine is S-shaped. It's S-shaped to allow this flexibility. Is S. Check how it is. Let's look at it on our what? Our skull, and then we see exactly what is happening there. Yes, let's look at it. Is it S shaped or is straight? Let's see if these people, they made it the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that. Yes, is it S shaped? Let's see if this is S shaped. All right. Yes, check how it is. It is not straight. It has a bend. You see, it has a bend. It comes like this. It bends, and then also this side. So it has. It's not that straight. Check how it is here. I think it. It is not straight. It has that bend, and then it goes there. You see why? So that there is a bit of what? Acting as a shock absorber. Yes, it acts as a shock. But the other one is a C shape. It is not bent. It's not bent. Let me ask you a question. Do you know why the springs are called in that they are not straight? So that when you act on it, it has that bent shape, so that it absorbs. So this bent shape you see here, this S shape is used to act as a what? A shock absorber. This is acting as a what? A shock absorber. Yes. So short and wider, short. This is wide, and then this is short. Why? To support what is up here, support the upper weight. Position of foramen magnum is in forward position to allow the spine connect vertically. I think I was clear there. I explained it very well. And then lastly, they're saying that describe the process of speciation. I think that is it. Let me just do a simple recall about some of the questions which if they bring these tools, these skulls, some of the things you're supposed to look at. number 1. If you have a question, because I'm winding up soon, but we have to use the camera. All right. Let's go back to our okay. The first point which we need to talk about is the first point which you need to talk about is the brain casing, the cranium. If you look at these skulls, what are you going to talk about? Yes, here the cranium is big compared to the body size. You must not just say craniums, this one is big. Compared to the body size. This one is small compared to the body size. So always humans will have the biggest cranium capacity. The cranium is big, the brain box is big compared to the brain, I explained it yesterday that when we talk about cranium, we are talking about this. The brain box. So in this case, this cranium compared to the body, the cranium of human is big. Compared to the body size. Then number 2, this one are small compared to the body size. Then number 2, position, the brain position on top of the eye. Yeah, check how it is. The brain is on top. Check. Yeah, it's top of eye. What about here? Just a little bit down. Check, the eyes are up and the brain is down. You see? Our eyes up and the brain is down. Yes. Then when you talk about the size of the brow ridges, you talk about the size of the brow ridges. This one is more pronounced, while here they are not pronounced. The brow ridges are not what? Pronounced. Then you talk about the position of foramen magnum. The position of foramen magnum here. Here you talk about the position of foramen magnum. Here you talk about the position of foramen magnum is in the backward position, while here the position of foramen magnum is in the forward position. Yeah, and then lastly you can talk about the angle of the face. This is sloping face, while this one is a flat face, while the other one is a sloping face. And then lastly, the shape of the palate. Look at this. Not that semicircular. This is rectangular. You can see that it's rectangular. I talked about it. This one is for humans is semicircular. So you have to know that also. And then the last point which you need to know is the size of the canines. That's what you usually talk about, the size of the canine. This is more developed canines for the case of the other primates, while this one is less developed. The size of canine is less developed. I think that's what you need to know. The brain size. When we talk about the brain size, obviously if the cranium is big, yes, automatically it's going to have brain size, more brain cells, more intelligence. While here the cranium is small, less brain cells, and then less intelligence. Then the other one tools, you have to talk about them. When we talk about the other one tools, then this is more advanced, more thoughts, more directly advanced, less moderate thoughts, and then this is the primitive one, means that it requires less thoughts. I think, guys, I'm going to stop here. I will organize another class for the phylogenetic tree. Unless you have any question, let me know. Don't forget to know how to download the distinction material book. If you don't know how to download distinction material book, I've explained to you that you can use ThunderEDUC, or you can use you can use get answered .co.za or ThunderEDUC.com. Thank you very much. It has been a wonderful time. Those people, if you have any question, let me know still. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so that people can get what you have understood. See you when you see me again.